Jazz. The night the CEO discovered who his maid really was, he did not shout, he did not call the police, he did not even ask her to leave. He simply stood at the top of the grand staircase, Jazz, staring at the woman who had spent the last 6 months quietly cleaning his house, serving his meals, Jazz, and somehow becoming the only person in the world who could make him feel like he was more than just a name on a company building. Then she looked up at him, Jazz, and said 6 words that changed his entire life. "You were never supposed to find out." For a few seconds, the house was completely silent. The rain outside tapped against the enormous glass windows, Jazz. A distant roll of thunder shook the walls. And in the middle of that luxurious mansion stood Adrian Blackwood, one of the youngest and most powerful CEOs in the city, Jazz, looking at the woman he thought he knew. Her name was Emma Carter. At least, that was the name she had given him. To Adrian, Emma was just a quiet maid, Jazz. A woman who had arrived at his mansion 6 months earlier with one small suitcase, no family, no expensive clothes, and a simple request. She wanted a job, nothing more, Jazz. She had never asked for his attention, never tried to impress him, never treated him like the powerful CEO that everyone else feared. And that was exactly why Adrian had fallen in love with her. But now, Jazz, standing in front of him with tears in her eyes, Emma was finally ready to tell him the truth. And Adrian had no idea that the truth would hurt more than any betrayal he had ever experienced, Jazz. Because Emma Carter was not a maid. She had never been a maid. And the reason she had entered his house was connected to the one secret Adrian's powerful family had spent years trying to bury, Jazz. But before we get to that night, before Adrian discovered the truth, we need to go back to the day they first met, because sometimes, Jazz, the person who changes your life forever enters it at the exact moment you have stopped believing in love. Adrian Blackwood was 34 years old when he became the CEO of Blackwood International, Jazz. At that age, most people would have considered him successful. Adrian considered himself tired. His company had offices in 12 cities. His name appeared regularly in business magazines, Jazz. People shook his hand at charity events and smiled at him in expensive restaurants. But behind all of that success was a man who had slowly forgotten how to live, Jazz. Adrian's father had raised him with one simple belief: feelings make people weak, business came first, family came second, and love? Love was something foolish people used to destroy their own future, Jazz. Adrian had believed that for most of his life, until Emma walked into his house. The first time he saw her, he was standing in his kitchen at 7 in the morning, Jazz, staring at a cup of coffee that had gone cold. He had barely slept. The previous night his father had called him with another problem at the company. A major investment was at risk, Jazz. A board member was threatening to resign, and his younger brother, Daniel, had somehow managed to create another disaster that Adrian would have to clean up, Jazz. It was just another normal morning in Adrian's life. He was wearing a dark suit, his tie was slightly loose, and his expression looked as if he had not smiled in years. Then he heard a voice behind him, "Jer." Adrian turned around, and there she was. Emma. She was standing near the kitchen doorway, holding a tray with both hands. She looked to be in her late 20s, Jazz. Her brown hair was tied loosely behind her head. She wore a simple grey uniform, completely different from the expensive clothes worn by every other woman who entered Adrian's world. She looked nervous, Jazz. But there was something else in her eyes. Something Adrian couldn't understand: calmness. She wasn't staring at him like he was a celebrity. She wasn't trying to impress him, Jazz. She wasn't even particularly interested in his expensive watch or his designer suit. She simply looked at him like he was a tired man standing in a kitchen, nothing more. "Who are you?" Adrian asked. The woman hesitated. Emma, sir, I didn't ask your name. Her fingers tightened around the tray. I'm the new maid. Adrian looked at her for a moment. You're late. Emma glanced at the clock. Gaz. I'm actually 12 minutes early. Adrian raised an eyebrow. For the first time that morning, someone had challenged him. Not aggressively, not disrespectfully, just honestly. Gaz. Emma immediately realized what she had said. I'm sorry, sir. Adrian almost smiled, almost. Don't apologize for being right. Emma looked surprised, then she placed the tray on the table. Your breakfast. I didn't order breakfast. I know. Adrian frowned. Then why did you make it? Because you haven't eaten. Adrian stared at her. How do you know that, Gaz? Emma looked at the untouched coffee. Because the coffee is cold. Adrian said nothing. Emma continued. And because the cook told me you haven't had breakfast for 3 days. Adrian's eyes narrowed. Gaz, you've been here for 5 minutes and already you're asking questions. No, sir. Then what are you doing? Emma looked directly into his eyes. Trying to keep you from collapsing. For a moment, Gaz. Adrian forgot what he was going to say. No one talked to him like that. His employees were afraid of him. His business partners respected him. His family expected things from him. But this woman, Gaz, she had known him for less than 10 minutes. And somehow, she had noticed something that nobody else had. He was exhausted. Adrian picked up the coffee cup. Are you always this direct? No, Gaz. Then why with me? Emma's expression changed, just for a second. A strange sadness crossed her face, then it disappeared. Because you look like someone who needs to hear the truth, Gaz. Adrian stared at her, and for reasons he couldn't explain, those words stayed with him the entire day. Over the next few weeks, Adrian began noticing things. Small things at first, Gaz. He noticed that Emma never complained. The mansion had more rooms than most people could count, and somehow she always managed to keep everything perfect. But unlike the other staff, Gaz, Emma never tried to become invisible. She was quiet but not weak, polite but not afraid, and she had an unusual habit. Every evening at exactly 8 o'clock, she disappeared for 30 minutes, Gaz. The first time Adrian noticed it, he didn't care. The second time, he became curious. By the 5th time, he finally asked, Where do you go every evening? Emma froze. He was standing near the dining room, carrying a stack of clean towels. Excuse me? 8 o'clock. Every evening. Emma's face became slightly pale. I go outside. I know that, Gaz. Adrian stepped closer. Where? It's personal. Adrian almost laughed. Personal. Nobody had ever told Adrian Blackwood that something was personal, Gaz. People usually answered his questions before he finished asking them. But Emma simply walked away. Adrian watched her disappear through the back door. For some reason, he followed, Gaz. He stopped a few steps from the door and looked outside. Emma was standing beneath an old tree at the edge of the garden. She wasn't using her phone. She wasn't talking to anyone, Gaz. She was simply standing there, looking toward the road waiting. Adrian watched her for several minutes. Then a black car slowly passed the mansion gates. Emma immediately turned her head. Gaz. The car stopped. A man stepped out. Adrian couldn't see his face clearly from where he stood. But he saw Emma's reaction. She looked frightened. The man said something. Emma shook her head. Gaz. Then the man handed her a small envelope. Emma refused it. The man tried again. This time, Emma took it. And then the car drove away. Adrian stepped back before Emma could see him. Gaz. He didn't know who the man was. He didn't know what was inside the envelope. But he knew one thing. Emma was hiding something, and Adrian Blackwood had never been good at ignoring secrets. Gaz. The next morning, Adrian found the envelope, not because he searched for it, because Emma accidentally left it on the kitchen counter. Gaz. Adrian was walking past when he noticed her name written on the front. Emma Carter, He stopped. His eyes moved toward the hallway. No body was there. He picked up the envelope. It was empty. Jazz. But there was something else inside. A photograph. Adrian pulled it out, and his entire expression changed. The photograph showed a young woman. Emma, but she wasn't wearing a maid's uniform. Jazz. She was standing beside a large black car, dressed in an elegant white dress, and next to her was Adrian's father, Richard Blackwood. Adrian's heart stopped. He stared at the photograph. Jazz. Why was his father standing beside Emma? And why did Emma look completely different? She wasn't a maid. She looked wealthy, powerful, confident. Adrian turned the photograph over. Jazz. There was a handwritten message on the back, 5 words. Ask your father about me. Adrian felt something cold move through his chest. At that exact moment he heard footsteps. Jazz. He quickly placed the photograph back inside the envelope. Emma entered the kitchen. The moment she saw Adrian standing there, she stopped. Her eyes immediately moved toward the envelope. Jazz. Then back to him. And Adrian knew she had seen it. She knew he had found it. Neither of them spoke. Finally, Adrian asked quietly, "Who is Richard Blackwood to you?" Emma's face went completely pale. Jazz. Don't call me sir. Adrian's voice was calm. Too calm. Answer the question. Emma looked down. Adrian stepped closer. Who is my father to you? Emma's eyes filled with tears. Jazz. But she didn't answer, and that silence told Adrian more than words ever could. He had been right. Emma was hiding something. The only question was, why had she come into his home? Jazz. And what did his father have to do with it? Adrian wanted answers, but he wasn't prepared for what happened next, because that afternoon his father came to the mansion. Jazz. And the moment Richard Blackwood saw Emma standing in the hallway, he stopped walking. For the first time in Adrian's entire life, he saw fear in his father's eyes. Not anger, not surprise, fear. Jazz. Richard stared at Emma as if he had just seen a ghost. Emma stared back, and then Richard whispered something that Adrian was never supposed to hear. You should have stayed away from my son. As Emma's face turned white, Adrian looked from his father to Emma. What does that mean? Richard immediately recovered. Nothing. Adrian's voice hardened. Dad, it's not what you think. Jazz. Then tell me what it is. Richard looked at Emma, and for one terrifying second, Adrian saw something pass between them. Something old, something painful, something that had started long before Adrian ever knew Emma existed. Then Richard turned toward his son. Fire her. Adrian froze. What, fire her today? Why? Because I said so. Jazz. Adrian took one step forward. No. Richard's expression changed. Adrian had spent his entire life obeying his father. But not now. She's done nothing wrong. You don't know that. Jazz. Then tell me what she did. Richard said nothing. Adrian looked at Emma. She was standing completely still. Tears were running down her face. And suddenly Adrian understood something. Jazz. Emma wasn't afraid of losing her job. She was afraid of something much bigger. Adrian turned back to his father. Who is she? Richard's jaw tightened. Adrian, I'm warning you. No, Jazz. Adrian's voice was now dangerously quiet. You're hiding something from me. Richard walked toward the door. Before leaving, he stopped. He didn't turn around. He simply said, Jazz. Whatever you think you feel for that woman, forget it. Then he walked away. Adrian stood there in silence. Emma lowered her head. And for the first time, Adrian realized something that frightened him. Jazz. He didn't want to forget her. Not anymore. He wanted to know her. He wanted to know why she had entered his life, why his father was afraid of her, and why, despite every warning, Jazz. His heart was already beginning to choose her. But Adrian didn't know that the truth was closer than he imagined. Because the next morning, Jazz, he would discover that Emma had been lying about more than her identity. And this time, The betrayal would come from someone Adrian trusted with his entire life, Gaz. Adrian spent the entire night staring at the photograph. He couldn't stop looking at Emma's face. The woman in the picture was clearly her, but she looked completely different, Gaz. She wasn't wearing a simple maid's uniform. She was dressed in an elegant white gown, standing beside Adrian's father, Richard Blackwood. But the photograph wasn't what frightened Adrian most, Gaz. It was the message written on the back. Ask your father about me. Adrian had spent his entire life believing he knew his father. Richard Blackwood was a powerful man, a strict man, Gaz. A man who never showed weakness. But yesterday, when Richard had seen Emma, Adrian had witnessed something he had never seen before. Fear, real fear. And now Adrian needed answers. The next morning, Gaz. He waited for Emma, but she never came. He called her phone. It was switched off. He checked her room. Her belongings were gone. Only one small suitcase remained beside the bed. Adrian's heart sank. Gaz. She was leaving, but before he could search for her, his assistant Michael called. Sir, I found something about Emma Carter. Adrian immediately answered. What, Gaz? Her background is almost impossible to trace. Explain. She has no clear employment history. Her education records are sealed. Even her financial information is unusual. Adrian's voice became cold. Gaz. Who is she? Michael hesitated. There is one name connected to her. Which name? Thomas Carter. Adrian froze. The name meant nothing to him, but he knew his father would recognize it. Gaz. He immediately called Richard. Dad, who is Thomas Carter? There was a long silence, then Richard answered. Where did you hear that name? Just answer me. Adrian, stay away from Emma. Why? Gaz. She is dangerous. Adrian's anger grew. You said she was dangerous yesterday. You told me to fire her. Now you're refusing to explain why. Because you don't understand what you're dealing with, Gaz. Then explain it. Richard's voice became quiet. Her father was my business partner. Adrian stopped breathing for a moment. Her father, yes. What happened to him? Richard didn't answer. Dad, he betrayed me. Adrian frowned. That's it. He stole from the company. Did he? Another silence. Adrian's eyes narrowed. You don't sound sure. Richard's voice suddenly became hard. Adrian, Gaz, I am warning you. Stay away from Emma. The call ended. Adrian stood there, staring at his phone. He knew one thing now. His father was lying. Maybe not about everything, but definitely about something. Gaz. And there was only one person who could give him the answers. Emma. Adrian found her 2 hours later. She was sitting alone at a small train station outside the city. A suitcase rested beside her. Gaz. She was staring at the departing trains when Adrian appeared. Emma. She immediately turned around. Her eyes widened. Adrian, why are you leaving? Emma slowly stood. Because I have to, Gaz. That's not an answer. She looked away. It's the only answer I can give you. Adrian walked closer. You knew my father. Emma said nothing. You came into my house because of him. Still nothing. You lied to me. Emma's eyes filled with tears. Yes, that single word hurt Adrian more than he expected. He looked at her. So it was all a lie? No. Then tell me what was real, Gaz. Emma looked directly at him. Everything. Adrian's expression softened for a moment, but the pain remained. Then why didn't you tell me? Because I was afraid. Of what? That you would hate me, Gaz. Adrian laughed bitterly. You should have given me the chance to decide that. I know. Who is your father? Emma took a deep breath. His name is Thomas Carter. Adrian waited. Gaz. My father was your father's business partner 20 years ago. Richard said he stole from him. Emma shook her head. He didn't. Adrian stared at her. What? My father didn't steal anything. Gaz. Then what happened? Emma opened her suitcase and pulled out a small folder. My father disappeared 20 years ago. Everyone believed he ran away after stealing millions from the company. Jazz. She handed Adrian the folder. But I never believed it. Adrian opened it. Inside was an old business agreement. His eyes widened. This says your father owned 50% of Blackwood International. Yes. Adrian looked at her. Then why doesn't anyone know? Because your father took control after my father disappeared. Adrian's mind raced. Why? Emma's voice broke. Yaz. That's what I came to find out. Adrian looked at her. So you became my maid to investigate my family? Yes. The truth was painful, but Adrian needed to hear it. And everything between us. Yaz. Emma's eyes filled with tears. I didn't plan any of it. What does that mean? I came to your house because I wanted answers. She took a step closer. But then I met you. Adrian looked away. Yaz. Emma continued. You were supposed to be the enemy. Adrian looked back at her, but you weren't. Emma's voice trembled. You were lonely. You were exhausted. Yaz. You were nothing like the man I had imagined. A tear rolled down her cheek. And then I fell in love with you. Adrian stood completely still. He wanted to be angry. He wanted to walk away. Yaz. But his heart refused. Then he asked the one question that mattered most. Did you ever love me? Emma didn't hesitate. Yes. Adrian closed his eyes. Then why are you leaving? Yaz. Because your father knows the truth. What truth? Emma looked terrified. I found proof that my father was innocent. Adrian's heart began racing. Where is it? Emma reached into her bag. Yaz. Before she could take anything out, a black car suddenly stopped outside the station. Emma froze. Adrian looked toward it. A man stepped out. Emma immediately moved behind Adrian. Adrian noticed. Who is that? Emma whispered. I don't know. The man began walking toward them. Adrian stepped forward. Stay away from her. The man stopped, then he smiled. You really have no idea who she is, do you? Adrian's expression hardened. Who are you? The man looked at Emma. She didn't tell you. Emma's face turned pale. The man pulled out his phone. On the screen was an old photograph. Jazz. It showed Richard Blackwood, Thomas Carter, and a third man. Adrian recognized him immediately. His younger brother, Daniel Blackwood. Adrian stared at the photograph. Jazz. What does my brother have to do with this? The man smiled. Everything. Then he walked away. Adrian turned toward Emma. Tell me. Emma was crying now. Daniel was there that night. What night? Jazz. The night my father disappeared. Adrian's entire body went cold. Where is my father now? Emma shook her head. I don't know. Then what do you know? Emma looked into his eyes. Jazz. I know your brother lied. Adrian couldn't speak. Emma continued. And I know your father helped him hide the truth. Adrian stepped back. His entire family was suddenly falling apart around him. Father. His brother. Emma. 20 years of secrets. And somehow he was standing in the middle of all of it. Then his phone rang. It was Richard. Adrian answered. Dad. Richard's voice was shaking. God. Adrian, where are you? At the train station. Is Emma with you? Yes. Richard became silent, then he said, Don't let her leave. Adrian frowned. Why? Jazz. Because she has something that belongs to our family. Adrian looked at Emma. What? Richard whispered. The evidence. The call ended. Adrian stared at Emma. What evidence? Jazz. Emma slowly reached into her bag. She pulled out an old envelope. This. Adrian opened it. Inside was a handwritten letter. The signature at the bottom belonged to Thomas Carter. Adrian began reading. Jazz. His face changed with every line. The letter revealed everything. Thomas hadn't stolen the money. Daniel had. Daniel had secretly transferred company funds to save his own failing investments. Jazz. Thomas discovered the truth and threatened to expose him. But before he could do it, Daniel confronted him. Richard had arrived too late. Thomas disappeared that night. Jazz. Richard knew Daniel was responsible. But instead of exposing his own son, he stayed silent, Adrian looked at Emma. Why didn't you show me this before? Because I was afraid. Of my father, Jazz. Emma shook her head. Of losing you. Adrian stared at her, then he understood. She hadn't been trying to destroy his family. She had been trying to uncover the truth. And somehow, during that journey, she had fallen in love with the one man she was never supposed to trust. Adrian took Emma's hand. I don't know what happens next. Emma looked at him. But I know one thing. What, Jazz? I believe you. Emma's eyes filled with tears. For the first time in 6 months, she smiled, but their moment didn't last long, because behind them a voice suddenly spoke. You shouldn't, Jazz. Adrian turned. Daniel was standing there, and in his hand was a photograph of Thomas Carter. Adrian's face went pale. Daniel smiled. Because the truth you're looking for isn't what you think, Jazz. Adrian stepped forward. What did you do to him? Daniel's smile disappeared, and for the first time, Adrian saw fear in his brother's eyes. The police were called. Daniel was arrested. Jazz. Richard finally confessed everything, and after 20 years, Thomas Carter was found alive. He had been living under another name, hiding from the people who had threatened him. Jazz. When Emma saw her father again, she ran into his arms. Adrian watched from a distance. He had spent his entire life believing that power meant controlling everything. But that day, Jazz, he learned something different. Sometimes the truth cannot be controlled. It can only be hidden for so long. Later that evening, Emma found Adrian waiting in the garden. Are you leaving? He asked. Jazz. Emma smiled sadly. I don't know. Adrian walked toward her. Then stay. She looked surprised. After everything, Adrian took her hand. You came into my life looking for revenge, Jazz. Emma smiled through her tears. And I found the truth. Adrian shook his head. No. He looked into her eyes. You found love. Emma began crying. This time Adrian pulled her into his arms. Jazz. The woman who had once entered his mansion as a maid was no longer hiding. And the CEO who had once believed love was weakness finally understood the truth. Love had not made him weak, Jazz. It had made him brave enough to face the secrets his family had buried for 20 years. Emma had entered his life with a hidden purpose. But she left him with something far more valuable than revenge, Jazz. She gave him the truth, and in the end, Adrian learned the greatest lesson of all. A secret may protect a person for years, but only the truth can finally set them free, because sometimes, Jazz, the person you trust the least becomes the person who reveals the truth. And sometimes, the person you never expected to love becomes the one person you can never imagine living without.